We're here today with Andrew Monahan from the Phoenix area. Thanks for joining us.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for having me.
Let's start by you sharing a little about yourself with us.
I'm originally from the west of Ireland. Grew up in a little town called Galway where the sun never shines.
Yeah.
But I came to the United States and I graduated from hotel school, so I came to the United States in '89 for 4 months.
Now, you went to school
in Ireland.
Okay, so you graduated from the hotel school there.
Yes.
Okay.
I've done a couple of internships in Germany, done a little bit of traveling, seen a little of that side of the world, and got a chance to come to San Francisco and was working with a large hotel chain, and they kept giving me more visas and saying stick around, and I'm 21 and I'm living in San Francisco, and it's like that was a tough decision. So I enjoyed it. Stayed in San Francisco until about '94 and transferred to Phoenix. I'm the only one that I've got a brother that moved 60 feet and I moved 6,000 miles. His house is physically next door to the home house. But it was a chance and growth, and I gotta love Phoenix. It's I got into real estate in 2001.
Straight from the hotel business.
Straight from the hotel business. I actually finally hit burnout, and I couldn't do it, and I was making $40,000 a year. And I went to the agent that actually sold me my first house, and I said, Eddie, can I work on your team, figure out a deal, and make $40,000 a year? And I remember him looking at me, and he says, if you don't try. And so I got into it and started working with, and as part of a team. He was a growing team, kind of feeling his way through it, but it was giving me the opportunity to grow and learn a little bit and travel with a guy that had done the business for a long time.
Right.
And got to see how an old-time agent did it. He'd been through the RTC days. He was dealing with REOs. He was dealing with regular sellers. And it was a great learning experience, and that showed me how to learn from somebody else.
And this was what year?
This was 2001. Okay. And I got the opportunity to learn from him and see how that business worked. Went to work with, in 2003, got to work with a urban specialist that was dealing in high-end homes.
Urban specialist meaning? He
dealt with condos, high-rises, multi-million-dollar homes in Phoenix, and got to learn the mentality and the thought that goes into selling a high-end home and dealing with the different objections that was there, which are very, very different from the other company I was with. So I put both of them together, got the opportunity to join Keller Williams in 2005.
Well, let's go back. How did you do that first year?
I equaled my salary. I went out, I was on a split, gave me the opportunity to take sign calls. We didn't have a call capture system at the time, but he did allow me to put up a sign that says, if you like the outside, call Andrew to see the inside, here's my telephone number. And I chased all over Phoenix and learned the market, learned the areas, and learned how to talk to people. Brought that from the hotel business.
Okay.
And learning to think on your feet. A problem in real estate can be all solved by time. A problem in the hotel business is immediate. When I was in the banquet department, you may have an outside function. There could be 500 people there. It started to rain. You have nowhere to put them, and your kitchen's on fire. It's immediate. It's right now. Whereas with real estate and bringing that and being able to problem solve on the fly actually benefited me in real estate.
So you enjoyed that scenario a little better than the outdoor raining?
You could threaten to shoot me. I will not go back to the hotel business. If I get anywhere, if I get thinking I made a mistake at any time, I just have to walk into a hotel.
Okay. So you're gotcha. You're done with that.
I'm done with that side of it. I love real estate because you get to make a difference for people. The happiest they're ever going to be is the day that you hand them the key and they walk in the door. You get to make a difference in people's lives, regardless of what level you're at. You make connections with people. You grow with them. You see them. You help their families out. Kids and grandkids. And if you do it right, as you talk about in the book, it's a relationship business. It's a one-on-one. I am your advocate. When you think real estate, you think Dan, you think Andrew, you think whoever you're actually dealing with, and that is a great feeling.
So what happened? You sold enough in your first year to equal your income from the hotel business, and take us from there.
I kept growing. We're doing some foreclosure work, started learning started learning Phoenix, started learning talking about houses, started learning handling objections and listening to people and talking to them, and that, and it kept growing. My second year I'm at about 120,000, I believe. And a lot of it came from the basics, sitting down, open houses. I had 4 signs that were left at a house that I liked. I knew the homes that were in the neighborhood. I had a "Be Right Back" sign on the front, stuck on the back of the door. So when somebody comes in and says, "This house is terrible," yeah, but this one next door is a lot nicer. Let's go and take a look at it. And just chasing down the leads and talking to people. And the more you talk to people, the more comfortable you get. And go after the business. And somebody calls you on a sign, and be willing to listen to what they're saying, and then become their friend, and then build a relationship, and then you're going to sell them something.
So tell me about your market right now.
Market right now is, in certain parts of, it's declining pretty dramatically in a lot of areas. We've had some massive building over the last 3 to 5 years, and foreclosure short sales are the dominant trends within our market. I would say there's a distress sale in probably 7 to 8 out of every 10 homes that you're going to come across. And it's very tough for the regular seller to compete against foreclosures, because pricing is, the bank can drop the price pretty dramatically depending on the needs of the parent company. So it can change, and markets can drop, but there is fantastic opportunity.
Well, let's just get this right. The bank probably is losing money when they drop the price, just like a resale seller is losing money when they drop the price. The difference is the bank is in a different financial position and doesn't want to keep the house. They're willing to drop that price.
They're willing to price the property correctly with the market.
They can absorb the hit.
They can, but they've also realized the fact that if it's not selling at 100,000, it's a price issue, or a condition issue, or a location issue. So that you can fix a lot of things with price. Right. So they're willing to be much more competitive in the market in regards to price, right, so that the home will sell. The home is actually costing the bank money to hold. They still have to be responsible to the bondholders. There's still a carrying cost on the property that can be a drain on the bank.
Right. Well, the issue there is it's not going to make them bankrupt. It could bankrupt a single homeowner.
Yeah.
So they don't have the flexibility.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you're in an area, there's some areas where I'm actually telling sellers, it's like, do you absolutely positively have to sell? And if the answer is, well, I'm just thinking about it, it's like, you know what? Don't. Let's make yourself some money. Rent the house if you can do it and buy something new, or hold on to your current home for another year, because we are going to get out of this. No matter how crazy the market is, you're going to come out of it. Mm-hmm. Some parts of Phoenix I'm actually seeing appreciation. It's not the whole market. It's if there's pockets throughout the different markets where people are still buying in all price ranges. So that it is just being able to convince people and talk to people around the noise of the newspapers and the magazines and all of that. It is a fantastic time to buy.
Well, it sounds like your business had transitioned at some point from working with buyers to working in the foreclosure area. Is that what you're saying?
That is correct.
Tell us about that transition.
I've started farming, and again, it's back to the basics that we've talked about. If I had read book in 2001, I'd be an awful lot further on, I think, than I would be right now, because everybody's always looking for that super bullet in real estate. It's not. It's making the phone calls. It's dropping out to see people. I do drop-bys to asset managers and people I've built up relationships within.
But you made a conscious decision. Now, when did you make that conscious decision to switch gears?
About this time last year.
Okay, so a year ago in August, September time period, you made a definite decision and said what?
I said I'm going to be focusing on REOs, and I went out. I took some trips, met with some asset managers that I'd worked with before, reestablished some of the relationships.
You took trips outside of the Scottsdale or Phoenix area.
Oh yeah, I'd hit for California, talked to people again, people that I've been working with for years on the phone. Now let's put a face with a name, and I once I didn't have a crystal ball. I just seen some stuff coming down the line that this would happen. And
now back up again.
What did you see coming down the line? I just want to understand as clear as possible why you made a decision to transition into this as a real focus.
I used the example a little bit earlier in regards to the price appreciation had gone crazy in our market. I had one home. The owner thought it was worth $150. We comped out at $159. We listed it at $165. Raised the price in the MLS to $175 the day it opened. We sold it that weekend for $186. The escrow fell apart. We took the earnest money because the buyer didn't perform. We put it back on the market at $186 and sold it with a 2-week close at $192.5. There is no economic model out there that can sustain that type of craziness. And at some point, the music had to stop. There was going to be a shortage of chairs. Something was going to break.
Right.
And some areas were being overdeveloped. We had areas where you drive till you qualify. So you go out an extra 20 miles because now that house was $50,000 less. And it just became, just looking at it, it was unsustainable. The growth, even though Phoenix is always going to keep growing, we've got land, yes and no. Something had to stop because the homes became unaffordable.
So you saw that and made a conscious decision as a result of that, or was there something else going on?
No, that was the part of it. I started getting some REO business.
Okay.
Some of my contacts had started sending me some stuff, and it's like banks that had been quiet for a period of time all of a sudden sent me 3 and 4 and 5 listings. Let me go and chat with you and find out a little bit more. I networked with a lot of the REO agents in Phoenix to learn about what's coming, and from talking to people, from learning from people in my business, yes, there was a very conscious decision is I am going after this business.
Was it hard to go after it?
No.
Okay. What do you mean by that?
Again, it's back to training, it's flexibility. You have to be able to change. If I didn't change with it, the market was changing whether I was going that direction or not. I made the conscious decision to focus on that area of my business. It was an area that was growing. It was an area that there was going to be some business in over the next period of time. And if I was going to continue to sell real estate, it's an area I wanted to be in.
What do y'all want to ask him right now?
I have a question. So if you were doing regular resale business, or you were working with, what did we call them earlier, regular sellers?
Yeah.
Regular sellers.
Normal people.
Did we call them normal people?
So, yeah.
Sorry.
Abnormal.
Such a thing?
Yeah. There still is, right?
Mm-hmm.
How did you get some REO business? Did it just show up? I'm not understanding that part.
It was always a part of my business.
Oh, it was.
I have been doing BPOs since 2001. I was doing the fee for BPO. I was driving around the valley. I was doing 5 and 6 a day. But it helped me to focus on values and focus on numbers and start to see some trends. So all of a sudden, I've gone from doing 3, 4, 5, 10 BPOs a week to getting 50 a week.
Okay. So
there's
the key was you started with the BPOs.
I have started with BPOs. I've done BPOs since I got into the business. It was a supplement to my income. So you make $50 to $100 a BPO, and it helped me live. It helped me have income coming through the door on a more regular basis.
Now, how do you get those, though? I would even ask that, right?
I got lucky. Signed up for some of the different websites that's out there.
Well, that's not lucky if you signed up for it.
It turned into something different. It turned into something bigger. And again, everything I did was a relationship.
Okay, but you're saying the answer to your question, I think, is I think he applied, don't you? I mean, what he did was he saw that he could go and do BPOs,
Right.
and he made application to do them.
But in your mind, were you thinking, wow, these BPOs will turn into listings? Was that the purpose of doing the BPO?
No, I was building relationships. It was a matter of, just like with our own sellers, we talk to them. A lot of this stuff is impersonal by email. I pick up the phone. People that tell me they don't want to be called, it's like, how you doing? This morning I called, while I'm waiting, I called an asset manager just down 2 of his houses closed yesterday. He already knows. But take that extra step to say, thank you very much for the business. I really appreciate it. And make it personal, because the people that are on the other side of the business are humans. We all think about banks as being large impersonal things. These are guys with problems too. You solve their problem. You become an advocate for them. You work with them, same as anything else. And it's based upon your success. If you're selling properties for them, you make money.
Are you, with all the BPOs going on, and sometimes the BPO and the short sale and all that business, it's been around for years, but it seems like it comes and goes with time, much like a refi does. And you see a lot of mortgage companies come up and all of a sudden they go away. I mean, are you keeping your other side of the business going, the regular sellers versus BPO? Because at some point this season is going to pass for a short while.
Exactly. We're in the process right now of starting to shift out of or look at the end of the Oreo business. I don't want to be the guy that sold 300 homes last year, and where is he now? I'm building my database with everybody that bought into the homes right now. We're actually marketing back to the buyers of those homes.
That's going to be my next question. Are you adopting those buyers?
Okay. We're adopting the buyers. They're on our mailing lists. They're going in. We're starting to grow our website. I spoke to some of the people at the conference in regards to figuring out the website solutions that's going to be out there, throwing out some stealth sites with just go search for homes, keeping my name out there on a more positive basis. We have just, last month was the first month we did it. We've got 2 mailings a month. The first one goes out with our newsletter, hi, how are you? But it shows our listings to show we're doing stuff. But I've also gone and started selling, sold by the Monahan Group in the last 30 days.
That was going to be my third question. When you're selling REOs, because we're probably sending out just solds, right, to neighborhoods, are you sending out 300 and 400 just sold for those transactions that you're doing? You're not sending just sold cards, right? To
No,
those
I'm sending one that says 30 homes.
Got it. To those neighborhoods.
No, to my sphere.
To your sphere. Okay.
And my goal at the end of it is to start growing my business. It's like at a time when nobody was selling houses, perceived that nobody's selling houses in Phoenix.
Right.
We're selling, so that our name keeps going out there, and everything is the group. My goal is not to be the face of my business. I want it to be the group behind the business, so that I can build a business that, as it becomes more successful, as I hopefully hit for the 7th level, I can take myself out of it and there's no actual drop-off in my business.
Let's shift gears for a second and just kind of analyze and get you to explain to us exactly how your operation works. You have how many listings right now?
204 active as of Monday, 42 pendings total, sold 160 year to date.
Okay. So you've got over 200 listings that you're currently marketing. And you apparently have a fair amount, what would you say on average, is going to probably average out about 20 a month or so in closed transactions for the year. Sounds to me like that's where you're going to be.
My goal is to close a house a day till the end of the year, calendar day. There has been a speeding up of sales over the last 2 months.
Yeah, sounds like.
So let's just assume, regardless of the exact number, this is a large volume of business.
Yeah.
Kind of walk us through your organization and tell us what that looks like.
As we have a number of pretty well everything is web based right now. The stuff shows up. My listings come in by email. Do an occupancy check on such and such a property, and here's the address, and off you go. I have my team is set up right now. I've got 5 listing agents. Mm-hmm. I've got 5 buyers agents. Okay. My office staff is a closing transaction coordinator, an opening transaction coordinator. So one that negotiates the contracts, puts them through the websites, gets them accepted, handles the paperwork until everything is signed, and then that gets transferred over to the closing.
Okay.
I have a receptionist, and I have a marketing coordinator.
So let's talk about compensation. How are your buyer and seller agents compensated?
The buyer's agents are on a 50-50 split, and I pay the transaction fees within the office, and they split the
Okay.
with me.
Okay.
And how do they get those leads?
Call capture systems. We have an 800 number on every listing we have, and it comes in by email that this person has just called. Our goal is to get back to them as quickly as possible. I find that if you hit them within 15 to 30 minutes, you've got a good chance of capturing that buyer. If you go anything longer than about 30 minutes, they're in a different city.
Do they sell any of your listings?
Not as many as I would like.
Yeah, but just honestly, they don't really sell them, do they?
We're selling about one a month through my buyer's agents, and that was one of the decisions that I'd made on Monday when we were talking, listening to the REO panel. It's like getting to focus on our business, changing the mindset somewhat of the buyer's agents, because this house looks, ew. It's not. It's a great opportunity. Carpet and paint can cover a whole multitude, and you're buying. Let's see beyond what you're actually looking at. It is the opportunity.
The buyer's agents, they're selling, obviously, other listings in the marketplace, other REOs or other, what do they end up buying?
A lot of times it's buying REOs, because that is what dominates our market. Exactly. But the challenge being, if you take a look at my overall market area, if you draw a map of Phoenix and see where my listings are at times, it's at the extremities. I drove 300 miles one day with an asset manager to hit all of their houses, which happen to be on the periphery of the city.
Sure.
So it's just too far away from what I'm getting my buyer's agents to do is focus on the core business, which is going to be my core business when the market gets out. Let's focus on areas within 10, 15 miles of my office as opposed to driving too far away.
Yeah, that is one of the downsides of the REO business, is it will drive you all over the city.
Yeah.
What's the average sales price of the homes that y'all deal with?
Dropping. The most expensive REO I've sold so far this year has been $880,000, and the same month I sold a $32,000 house.
So what would be your average?
Averaging about $150,000.
And is that coming out to about half of the average in the marketplace, or what would you say?
The median price in Phoenix has dropped down to just over $200,000 right now across there. But it's a little bit like Dan, you used the example earlier. What's the temperature in the United States today? Different areas have different prices. Scottsdale's much higher. El Mirage, Buckeye, Queen Creek is a lot lower.
Now, how do your listing people get paid?
They pay 30% off the commission that comes in. They pay some of the technology fees that comes through it, but then I carry the office expense.
Now, how do you assign the listings to you?
Everyone, my decision in regards to that was let's the people focus on each bank.
I thought that was a great idea when you said that this morning.
If I've got something that shows up today on a website and it comes out from X bank, Eric Nix takes it. Regardless of what, that's his. If something goes wrong with it, it's his. If something comes out from LPS, it comes to Kevin. If it comes out from somebody else, it goes so that each of the players know their inventory. They know the websites. They know the idiosyncrasies of each of the websites that they're actually dealing with. And as a result of that, they can focus on their business. So
It probably feels more secure to the lender also.
a lot of the time I've just made the decision literally about 2 weeks ago to have the agents actually talk directly with the lenders. Up until that, it had become everything came to me. I went out, came back up, and went out.
Now, are they cross-trained?
Yeah.
So, somebody does LPS, they'll know how to do Bank of America. Let's
Yes.
say.
Again, the biggest thing is flexibility. They work with each other. They work really well as a team. They'll turn to each other, and it's like by email, and we all use Blackberries, and it's like by email, it's like, okay, who's going to El Mirage today? I've got an occupancy check that needs to be done there. Great, I'll take that one if you can take the one from Scottsdale for me. And even though they're not getting paid on that work, it actually works out for them. So I've got, the one thing I did learn from this is the importance of having a cohesive team. If your team is off in any way, shape, or form, it's going to affect the whole team. The players work together. Everyone that's on my team has actually come from a referral from somebody else within the team. I need to add one player. It's like, well, Joe or John or Eric is with me, and yeah, let's see if we can bring him in. So that's actually worked out really, really well for me.
All right. What do you want to ask me? What do you want to know? What would help you?
So, with as large a team as you have, how often do you communicate in a meeting? Like, how often do you have a meeting, and do you inspect what you expect? You do your 411s with them, or do you do something different?
We have a meeting Tuesday morning, 9 o'clock, training room of our market center. Every Tuesday, regardless of what's going on. I do communicate with them on a regular basis. A lot of our stuff, it's still in process and still growing. I believe probably I'm going to make a change on a couple of areas when I go back. The gentleman that was on the REO panel from Las Vegas gave me some great ideas at the end of it. He's got 465 listings. And learning from people within our business, so some of those changes will actually be going into effect pretty quickly. Yes, I check the pricing. I check that. I check their BPOs as to what they're doing. I will go out and I'll check the properties. It's a matter of getting out there and seeing and doing and making sure that everything we do is tracked. Everything is website based. Everything is tracked. So there's one website where it goes from green to yellow to red, and it's like I've got a nervous twitch at red. Because it's actually taking points away from us. It's showing a chink in our armor. It's showing that, well, we're not getting that job done for that seller. We need to fix something. But it's very, very our business is very, very task-based at the moment.
It sounds like you're almost reactionary because it's so busy. I mean, does your listing specialist or buyer's agents, do they have goals like, all right, you got to do so many sales this month, or is that you just reacting to what's given to you?
We're reacting to what's given to us. There is absolutely, I listed 3 houses this morning. The emails came through. There's people actually out checking them at some point today. So we react to what's coming down the line. Coming from the hotel business, and what has helped me get to this point is, the answer is yes, what's the question? And being flexible and being available to the asset managers has helped me grow my business to the level it's at.
What kind of changes are you going to make that you picked up on?
Very, very task specific. I'll be hiring, I'm going to start looking at compensating by the job, not by a percentage of the business. If you go out and take the pictures of a property, it's $10 or $15 or whatever it turns out to be, rather than paying the guy $10 an hour. And then narrowing it down to a specific area where you're going to be that'll make best use of your time to work on a win-win for everybody. If it doesn't win for the person that's working with you, it's not going to happen. If it doesn't win for me, I'm going to go broke. So it's a matter of finding out and leveraging and making best use of people. I'm supposed to hit all my listings every week. Between myself and my team, we're a little bit weak on that. That is going to change.
Define, I'm supposed to hit all of my listings every week.
No, we're supposed to visit just to make sure, because things can happen. Air conditioner thefts. Having an air conditioner in a vacant house in Phoenix is actually, it's becoming the exception rather than the rule right now. Different things, we have to make sure the agent that will go into the house and check to make sure that the air conditioner that is there is working, and turn it to 70 degrees and leave it for a period of time, and you get an $800 electricity bill. And you've got to look out for your sellers. You've got to make sure that their property is in the best possible condition to stand out among the REOs. You can't sell a house with weeds.
So is it time consuming to handle one REO property?
It is. It's time consuming and extremely expensive.
Because it's time consuming. Because you are in the property maintenance or management business, if you will,
yes,
until that property gets sold.
Exactly. I'm responsible at times with some banks, depending on the bank. Some banks will handle everything under their name, turn on the water, electricity, sewer. I have currently got 125 utility accounts throughout the valley. It's like, I have a person that's job is turning on and off utilities. That's his job. Full time, making sure that we have electricity on the properties for inspections.
Now you have to put those in your name, and you have to pay for that, right?
Yes.
How much money do you think you have out in bills, utilities, and trash and repairs?
Just started. I hired a bookkeeper and an accountant, and at the moment there is a discrepancy between what I've spent on utilities in my business and what I've got in excess of about $75,000 right now. And if I did everything I was supposed to do exactly as it's supposed to be, some of the houses sell quicker, I'd probably be out in excess of probably $150,000 to $200,000 on a 90-day to a could be never.
So you're saying that some you may not even get paid for?
That is correct. Some of them make them so difficult to get reimbursed.
A good person to stay on top of it.
I have actually hired possibly the best person I could find. It's like I actually talked to her on Monday night, and she's freaking out in the fact that this bill got declined, and it's like, Laura, it happened before you started. Yeah, but I don't want to lose your money. It's like, love you dearly, don't get a heart attack. I want you to be around for the long haul.
Well, just for an education purposes, why would any bill be declined?
I mean, you have a contract with the bank that says, I'll manage it, but any bill that is incurred in your name, you're going to pay me.
It is, there's rules that they put down. Some of them are almost impossible to follow. Last week I got a bank that declined $7,000 worth of expenses because I didn't fill out a form the day before close of escrow on these properties. And the answer when I'm speaking to my client is, well, we've got 6,000 agents. Most of them do it right, so you don't do it right, so you're out of luck. That's going to become a business decision that I will make going down the line. Do I take more listings from that, or do I figure a way to make sure I can fit within their system? At times, it's a tough business. I'm sure you'll agree that we are free money for a bank, 90-day to 120-day free loan on a bank. They don't have to carry it. They reimburse you when the time comes. They're overworked on their side. It is a challenge. It's definitely a part of the business. I had a bank that disappeared a month ago. Disappeared. Actually, their phone stopped working. Their website stopped. Some of the properties got reassigned. Some of them disappeared. And I'm out of the money. So what do you
mean the property disappeared?
It disappeared off the websites. Who owns them, we don't know. So it's just gone into a black hole for a period of time.
You had it listed, but you can no longer find an owner.
Yeah. I had it listed for a month, and all of a sudden I had offers, and I couldn't find anybody to call. So again, the changes that's being made in regards to that is, okay, do I accept it, or do I learn to work within the system that's given to me? I'm going to fight for my $7,000. I'm going to get it, I guarantee you.
You don't work for free.
No, exactly. But on the flip side is, okay, here's what the thing is. Set up the system so that the bookkeeper now gets that form 5 days prior to make sure everything is there, make sure we build. Leverage into different companies so the loss may not be as hard. Hire subcontractors that's going to do it, that can and will wait for payment. If they want your business, you take the same risk that I do.
Mm-hmm. So Andrew, what would you say is the one or two biggest challenges you face right now with the business you have?
The actual biggest challenge I have right now is dealing with buyer's agents. And not listening to what needs to be said, or listening to the instructions you're giving them. If you follow the rules within REO, it's a real easy process. You've got a very motivated seller. You've got a great price for the buyer. Don't get in the way. But there's certain things that's going to happen. We don't negotiate by formal contracts. You're going to get a piece of paper that says, here's the terms that's changed, and it'll be followed up by this one bank I have as a 17-page addendum with a 2-page mold addendum that comes after it. Follow the rules. You're fine. I've put a frequently asked questions that needs to be signed off by all buyer's agents when they're submitting an offer. here is what it's going to take. Frequently asked questions in REO, help me get your offer accepted.
So you don't necessarily mean your buyer's agents. You mean agents in the
I'm
marketplace.
talking about agents in the marketplace. We go everything by fax or by email, but then you've got 200 phone calls a day. Now, the property, is it still available? What does it say? Well, I've got the property now, I've bought it as is, but the appraiser needs some repairs. Or there's some repairs. No, we don't do them. What part of as is the challenge. But trying to work through it, because again, I want the buyer's agents to be selling my properties. I want the buyer's agents that's out in the general market to say, well, there's Monaghan, let's deal with them, as opposed to not.
But they're not what you're saying is they're generally not educated, nor actually truly functionally aware that an REO property is a different transaction.
And we try to put that up front with them, but a lot of the agents don't. It's almost, to a certain extent, the reverse of 2005, where anything can actually, let's get the house in escrow, then try to renegotiate. The problem is, there's no renegotiation once you're in the contract. It's pretty well, let's make it go. And again, making it smooth. And the differences is your title company can be in a different state. Your escrow company and your title company are at different locations. Timelines are extremely important. You have a very short inspection period, but your inspection period is whether you decide you want the house or don't want the house. Financing is changing on a lot of properties, and to be aware with your lender that financing is changing. FHA Ameridream is my business is about 30 to 40% cash buyers right now, and the rest of it is FHA Ameridream with a small sprinkling of conventional financing.
Since that's leaving,
I believe that it should. This is a statistic out there that there's about 40% of the foreclosures that's FHA driven are people that didn't put any of their own money into the deal. Mm-hmm. Personally, I believe that we need to educate our buyers much better. If you tell them they have to come up with a 3% down, the Ameridream is not going away. The seller assistance for your down payment is going away. Right. The opportunity now is go out and talk to family members, friends, get the down payment assistance from them, because it's going to be an awful lot tougher later on that if you foreclose on the property, you've actually got somebody you know and loves money attached to the deal.
Some skin is in the game.
Pardon?
Some skin is in the game.
Exactly, and it's going to be very, very tough to sit across the table at Thanksgiving saying, well, you know what, Aunt Mary, I've just lost your house.
Christmas.
No, that's a good thing.
And I think
it's a very positive thing for the industry.
And some of the stuff, it's like I'm seeing offers that people are putting 20% down but asking for closing cost assistance. Let's be real in what we're doing.
Yeah, very good. All right, thanks for your time.
Thank you so much.